Are
Oh,
you
boy.
caught up with the Amandla Stenberg thing?
Yes. I've done my fair amount of Acolyte discussions. It was actually. Do you guys know Jedi Brooks? Have you ever seen him on anything? He's another
No.
YouTuber. He actually made
I
a
don't
really
think I
good
have.
video on, funny enough, on Soul. The speaking of Koreans, the Korean character from Acolyte. But he and I would watch this every week as it was coming out, just on Discord with each other. And sometimes he would even watch the video in advance because he was working on a video for it. And then he would still want to watch it with me just because our reactions to things were like sort of priceless. And yeah, so this show's this show's interesting because it's fun in the sense that it's so bad it's amazing to pick apart, but it's also kind of the worst Star Wars product like maybe ever. And,
Yeah, for this
I
over
know.
here. Now, did you watch her? I must have scroll all the way down to
The diss track, or
yeah, so
the
she had
follow-up
her
to the diss track.
the you know don't you know we're so bored, don't fuck it for Discord, her. Did you watch her cancellation follow-up video?
I watched little bits and pieces of it, but I mean, I don't know. The second you get a video where someone's like, yeah, no, obviously this was going to be an uphill battle because of the bigotry that we were facing, and I'm just like, no one cares. It's just a bad show. But yeah, I guess.
What about you, Grae? What about did you watch it?
Nah, I didn't bother anymore. But if we're gonna watch it, that's fine. But it's like given her behavior in her the way she made that cringe dance video. I was expecting she's gonna make something like this because they all behave the same way. They all have the same reactions.
It's a personality type.
Yeah,
it's the theater kid. I'm telling
you, taking feedback and becoming a better person. They just think, no, it's your fault. Everyone's a bigot. Everyone's a sexist. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
So I don't want to go through the entire video. She basically goes on, talks about how she found out it's been canceled, how it's like she put her her heart and soul into this, which is funny is because her character has no soul. And the fact that you have a Korean guy named Soul in there is pretty funny. And she basically thanks everyone how like Leslie Headland was such an amazing figure that helped her, that made Star Wars really, really cool for her. And then she blames the alt-right, call them bigots, everyone who basically hated the show, or bigots, far-right, alt-right people. And then at the end, she basically continues saying how happy she was she got this opportunity. For me, if she left out the entire thing about how bigots, ruined the show, how far right, outright, alt-right people ruined the show. I think,
yeah, specifically alt-right because it's 2017 apparently.
So like, if she left all of that out, I think this would have been a fine like follow-up to it sucks that's canceled, what you should have said. I'm glad I got the opportunity to work on the show. It was a dream come true working on the show. Thank you so much for everyone who was involved and stuff like that. Yada yada yada. But the thing is that she didn't, right? She had to put in far right, alt right people, bigots that ruined everything, and that's the reason why it was, And the thing is, it's that this show is extremely, extremely bad. And like I said, like I consider her a worse actor than Kristen Stewart. So
I would say so. I've seen Kristen Stewart in a few things where I thought she was all right. Amandla, I've only ever seen her in The Acolyte, so I guess I've seen her in two things she's not great in because she's two roles. But
yeah,
I mean, are they?
Yeah, man. It's yeah. I don't want to force you guys to watch this because it is really bad. But I believe let's go ahead and read some of her quotes right over here. Let's go here right over here. So during her thing, she actually starts like. Right over here. She paraphrased Vice President Kamala Harris. Quote, but maybe the last thing I want to say on this subject is that we all exist in the context in all of which we live.
Okay.
All of which we.
I don't know what that quote means.
I mean, I guess it like things occur within their time in history, and I guess the implication is that this is a time in history where evil racists are tearing Star Wars apart. So of course the one with the non-binary woman of color, which I mean, when you say non-binary, like when they say that about her, I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, I mean, you added woman at the end. Why even bother in that case? Isn't a non-binary person? But I don't know. I can't keep up. But I guess just ultimately none of that matters, because if you like, I think House of the Dragon's probably a pretty good bet, because as much as House of the Dragon season 2 was not nearly as good as the first season and has some issues, I don't think anyone really cared that Emma Darcy identifies as a they them, because she was pretty good on the show, you know.
Yes.
Like it's like, and even then it's like you even if we hated the show, it wouldn't be because of that, right? It's like it'd just be because the show is or is not good. And that's all most people care about at the end of the day. In particular, the mainstream audience, like the normies who aren't watching podcasts or going on YouTube and watching Gary or Critical Drinkers videos and stuff, they will just watch an episode or two. And if it does not look interesting to them, they bounce and they never come back. Where I think that they think that our, I guess you could argue, we'll say for the sake of them giving a bit of a bone, our vocal minority of people who hate this type of media and want to talk out about it a lot, because as much as you could argue that maybe we hold a more majority opinion than people think we do, it's still we, like the outspoken ones, are kind of the minority. Just like on the other side, the outspoken ones who really want a show that's full of representation and diversity and they don't care how it's written, probably are the other vocal minority. And I don't think either side really has the ability to make a show succeed or fail. But if the show's not that good, it will kind of do what it's going to do. And sometimes you'll have a show like Firefly where, you know, it gets canceled after one season and people find it later and it becomes a cult classic. But there's also factors that I think factors that would probably have made Firefly okay if it was a more modern show, because if it was on streaming, I think it would have done totally fine. The problem with Firefly was they had it on Friday nights on Fox at like 10 p.m. and they aired the episodes out of order. So no one could really tell what was going on. And like 3 people watched it and then it got canceled. And then lo and behold, it becomes a huge hit once the DVD comes out with all the episodes in order and people can go through it. But it had already been long canceled by that point. But hey, you know what? Firefly got enough of a following at that point that we got Serenity. So, like, hey, Acolyte fans, if you're out there and you think this show's that great, maybe keep watching the show. Buy the Blu-ray that comes out. See if actually put your money where your mouth is, and you might find you'll get more of that content. But I feel like most of the people who defend the Acolyte are defending it for the reasons they think we hate it, which is the aesthetics, the superficial stuff, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, let's see. And then you have Star Wars theories. Amandla Stenberg's response to the Acolyte being canceled. Do you agree with her? She says, paraphrasing, the show suffer from tons of vitriol, bigotry, racism, and hate from the alt-right, which essentially is why it got canceled. And absolutely, it's absolutely funny that people think that. And of course, just like clockwork, everyone is basically saying Star Wars theory is a terrible person. It's because he made this video responding to it, right? Or this is straight up racist. Amandla calmly expressed her emotions and experience, and she did so eloquently as possible. He's calling it a meltdown to play into the angry black woman stereotype. Just when I thought this man could sink no lower. Yeah. So there's a lot of people who are very, very mad at him. And there's another one that I believe Grae sent me earlier that says, oh, I used to like him, and now he's awful. He's a bigot. And yeah, and the thing is, of course, there are people who really, really love the show so much. They're trying to renew the Acolyte. Last time we checked, it was at 34,000. Now it is at 63,000 out of 75 for renew the Acolyte. So yeah, this is not good. This is not good. And there's a lot of people who signed it, and to be honest, like, and to be fair, like the show can only be so good as you know, as good as its writing is, right? Souls was written terribly, and same thing was Manny Jacinto's character. And I don't feel sad that the show got canceled. It sucks for the people who actually did their best, but ultimately, if she didn't make this video, sort of like Iman Vellani, she didn't blame the fans for Miss Marvel not doing well. Right?
Most people have a pretty high opinion of Iman Vellani because she's humble and like was like, yeah, it's the same. And like no one really liked the movie, but you know, I had fun making it. It's cool. Like everyone likes it when you do that. I think the other one was, granted, it's pretty easy to like to like Sydney Sweeney, but Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson with Madam Web, they they
Yep.
didn't pull cover story. Like they didn't start sweeping for it. They were just like, yeah, you know, no one saw that movie.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we did.
Yeah, well, but I think that's the thing. Like people appreciate that. Like they appreciate not being told, no, you didn't like it because there's something wrong with the way you think. Like it's like, well, maybe you could say, hey, if it's a really complicated mystery that I didn't quite understand, then yeah, maybe I just didn't watch it properly, didn't pay attention to enough things. But I feel like you're not making that argument though, right? For the Acolyte, you're not saying, hey, you guys just didn't properly get it. Here's what actually happened. It just went over your head. It's just, no, you didn't like it because you're racist. And like, not just us, because I mean, like people like even me, I tend to stay pretty apolitical and mostly just stick to video games, but people have called me racist for not liking TV shows. And when it comes right down to it, it's just like, well, like, who are you trying to convince here? Because if you say it to me, even I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous. We can just move on. But most normal people, if you call them a racist because they said, hey, I didn't like that episode of Law and Order, they're going to think you're a crazy person.
Thanks for checking out this segment of the Project Eggroll podcast. If you like what we do here, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will know next time when we go live. We do go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Once again, we are just getting started. Tons of more video to come. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.